For me, because I've coached in so many age groups, little kids, economic advantage, different poor kids, rich kids, adults, all over the place. And the biggest thing I have is to be relational as you can be, as transparent as you can be with your players. All my players currently know my life, know my family. They come to my house very often. All of them have stepped into my house, had dinner with my family, had games here in my home. It's not that I try hard, but it's just who I am. I love that. And if I couldn't do that, I wouldn't coach. That's one of the reasons I couldn't coach at the professional level, because I couldn't be as relational as I can with the college guys. Mm-hmm. So I believe that if you can be relational with your players and you want to, you have to find a place that you can be. Yeah. As transparent, as relational as you can, because that's what brings transformation for me.
Probably mistaking leadership for control. Being a leader isn't control. It's being able to let go and empower others to be leaders, to be an example of leadership, but not, I've got to have control. And that's something I constantly struggle with, is that whole control thing, and so that's why follow is such a tough word for me this year, because I tend to go, okay, I'm going this way. Hey, God, come with me just in case I need you, that type of thing. But that's probably the biggest mistake I've made in leadership, is looking at it and I have to have all the answers, and I don't, Yeah. That's why God's put other people around me, has given me my wife, I don't need to have all those answers.
Obviously a very strange fall season, but I would say the thing that comes to my mind the most is a team meeting that we had, coaching staff included, along with the players in the middle part of the season. I can't remember our record at the time. Maybe we were 2-2 or 3-3, something like that. But we came together and we basically had a transparent conversation. They all had an opportunity to go and kind of speak to the things that were life-giving to them, things that were positive, and also things that they felt like were holding us back as a team. So, that's not always easy when you're in the room hearing about what can go better and things like that. But for me, I think that transparency needs to be there. And so in the same way, the coaching staff did the same thing. And ultimately, we just all decided to step up and take ownership of the process. And I told them I took ownership of where we currently were at, because I believe that we have a greater potential. And so following that meeting, we were unbeaten in our remaining 7 games, which was cool to see. But there was a specific moment inside that meeting that hurt a lot, but at the same time, I think led to healing. We have a girl who's a freshman on our team. She basically voiced outrightly that she didn't feel welcomed. She didn't feel like she was a part of the team. And obviously as the coach, as a leader of the team, that hurts, but she feels hurt as well. And so I think the biggest thing is I appreciate her courage to share that. She could have said anything else and kind of just gone to the next thing, but I appreciate her courage to share that, and her vulnerability to share that as well. And then the girls around her just immediately said, that's not okay. We step up and take ownership of that, and we apologize for that, and we're going to change it. And credit to everybody as they did step up, and small little things, small little conversations before training, after training, during training. And I think she thrived in the next few weeks following, and I hope that she continues to feel welcome and part of the team. But I think the thing is everything's not going to be perfect. Always things are going to go poorly or whatever. So, talk about it. If it's true, say it, and then you can go and heal from it. And so I think that's what we did. did, as opposed to just kind of sweeping things under the rug. So for me, I think that's probably the best moment, even though it was kind of a feeling of hurt moment as well.
My biggest thing is that the girls feel the overflow of love from Jesus Christ. And a lot of times they may be getting that at home. They may not. And there's certain athletes that absolutely are not getting it at home or at school. So I will be very intentional with letter writing, actually. I will write my athletes letters before game days, before the season, after the season, and just speak life into them, encourage them, tell them that I'm like so happy that they're on my team and I'm proud of them. And I'm excited for like all the things that they can do. And it's amazing, like what that can do for an athlete. I also am very intentional with them as a group in the fact that like at the end of practice, we talk about like how we can become better and what that looks like. Our motto for last season was be better. And we wanted to be better than last year, obviously, in our season, right? Record wise and all that. But we also want to call the girls higher. So we want them to be better daughters. We want them to be better Christians. We want them to be better friends and sisters and girlfriends and granddaughters, just be better students. And so we would talk about like ways that we can be better. And after those, those conversations with them, and I'd say, okay, we need you all back here tomorrow, safe and sound, because we love you and you're important to us. So like, I just we'll just straight up tell them that it's the choices that they make are important and you are important. So please make smart choices.
I have a personal mission statement. It just basically says, and it kind of changes year to year. My mission statement this year is my mission is to lead, love, and serve others with a humble and joyful spirit.
Man,
lead, love, and serve others with a humble and joyful spirit. And I have that written in a few different places on my iPad background. I open up my iPad and I see it there. And, that means a lot because as a coach, it's very easy for me to tell the players how great I was or, how good I was. And, and that's not being humble. It can be, you can use a personal story to coach and to teach. And that's a great way to do that. Some of the most impactful lessons are the ones of my failure that I can teach to not only my students, but my athletes. Hey, I remember what it was like when it was going bad. And this is what I was feeling. These were my emotions. Right. So those are the invaluable coaching moments and lessons, I think. Teach from your failures because that makes it pretty real for them.
I mean, I would probably go back to, I'd probably go Pauline, like in Romans, and probably talk through some of the law, right? And just the 10 Commandments. If we just even look at that, all of us fail miserably in those, especially then if you go to the Sermon on the Mount and Jesus says, well, it's not even the act, it goes beyond that. It's a heart issue, right? And he says, even if you're thinking of these things, you're sinning in this way. And so, and just that kind of reveals, and I think that was the law's purpose, to reveal our sinful nature, right? But then that's the bad news. Then I would transition and say, hey, but the good news is that God loves you and sent his son to die for you, and you can have his righteousness rather than your filth and sin. I'm just as screwed up as I was 29 years ago, you know what I mean? But the difference is Christ has given me his righteousness and taken my sin on the cross. And so God sees me differently because of that.
I think you hit it on the head. I think most people are worried about if I don't have the wins, right? I could lose my job if I don't have the successes, or this kid doesn't break the state record, or we, don't have successful athletes in some of those sports. But I think if you're really coaching in 3D and you're looking at the mental and the heart, is you can't measure success by just the wins and losses. Society tells us that's how you keep your job, or how you're able to have others view you as successful. But I don't know if I've ever looked at myself, even in the failures and successes with wins and losses, as that's my main purpose and goal. So I really buy into the 3D coaching because I can measure my success on how these young men are growing up, what they do in the classroom, how they treat their peers, how they treat their parents. Are they getting into the word? Are they being faithful? Are they doing the things that, to me, helps that 3D coaching of, okay, so if we're not having a good year, okay, we can focus on these other things, taken outside of the physical or the athletic part of the sport, and still feel like we're doing some things that are successful. It just might not be measured the way that others measure it based upon, hey, we should keep this coach because he's 0-10, but the players play for him and respect him, and they're learning all these other things. So,
Right.
yeah, that to me is why 3D coaching is so important, because you can take that other aspect out and really focus on the things when you don't have the success on the field.
Positivity things. This is magic. This is magic, I think, and coaches do it. You got to circle up. We would meet into the garage. At South, it was called the Room, capital ROOM. At West, it was the Garage, capital G. It was the garage. Okay. We would get in a circle. They had to tell the person on the right or left, whichever way we were going to go around, what they liked the most about them. And I always lead off with, as a person. It's more important what they are as a person than a player.
Yeah.
What's the greatest thing they like about them as a person? And each guy goes around and does that. Then they tell the group, what's the best thing they like about them as a player? You can take the worst kid, you can take 18 kids, you can take number 18, and you can tell him there's something good about what he does, good spin on his breaking ball, good low strikes, something you can tell him. Okay, from that, then my core leaders would speak. We had 4 core leaders, and the core was respect, responsibility, integrity, servitude, leadership, sportsmanship. Okay, those 5 things were presented to the core leaders by me. The core leaders then would speak to the players about that. During practice, Andrew, you're on the mound. Ball hit to the right side, you don't cover. It's not McDonald saying, Andrew, you need to get there. It's the core leader on the infield saying, come on, Andrew, you can get there. See, there's a different way to say it. And if the player takes over, positive things will happen on your team. Sometimes the core leader must stand up and speak to the team. Okay? Positive running. We had a 3-man group. Stationary guy, a person in the middle. The person in the middle, you say go, got to run and touch this guy. Got to turn and come back and touch that guy. He keeps going back and forth until he can't go anymore. He then will run towards one of the 2 and say, can you help me? So that humbles himself to the team, and the team says, yes, I will. They tell him, yes, I will.
Yeah.
Then in our sprint work, this is a kid, I'm always at the back third in basketball, or I'm trying to get up, and our coach would say, Bill Carnival, if you finish first twice, you're out. That's no hope for me. I'm never going to finish first unless if 18 guys were down to 2 guys, yeah, I might. We would have, if you finish last twice, you get to set out. Not finish first if you finish last. You think, well, that won't work. Kids will die not to be last. So that was a positivity, to them. So I think there's a lot of ways that you can get things across to them and leave them with dignity and leave them with hope, HOPE.